I cannot believe that in the year of the machine 2024, many, many people do not understand what sensitivity reading or reviewing is. And since I like to assign ignorance rather than malice to what people think they know or don't know, and when they get something incredibly wrong, I figured I might just tell you guys what it is and hope that it trickles down to the right people so that they can actually hear what it is. Because with assumptions made about what it is, they are assigning a lot of malice to the functionality of the tool itself. So we're going to discuss what it is and what it isn't, and it might take a little while. Who knows? So, almost 80% of all published media, video games, books, magazines, comic books, all that stuff, is read by people or played by people who look at it through a specific lens. This lens is akin to an editing lens. Everyone sends their media to editors at some point in time because creators a lot of times don't actually see where their flaws are or where they done fucked up. So basically think of sensitivity reading or playing as an extension of editing, because most media portrays something in popular culture or sensitive topics. A lot of people who produce media would like to include more people, would like to include more intersections. But since a lot of these industries were run by white straight men for so long, there's a lot of media stereotypes that are met very, very frequently in these genres. So, a sensitivity viewer will go in and watch the characters that have been introduced that have specific intersections, being a person of the global majority, being someone who is gay, being trans, all of that stuff. And discuss if there's maybe something that they have included that is a harmful stereotype, maybe something that is monolithic thinking in nature as far as their inclusiveness. And then sometimes, they'll go in and be like, well, this line, all it does is to reiterate that intersection. It doesn't really help the character development. Even AAA game studios pay very good money for this to happen. And that is what it is. It is helping with characterization and avoiding harmful stereotypes. What sensitivity editing is not. It is not something that inhibits free speech. It's not to avoid harsh or scary concepts. It's not to mute any type of media content that might be a little bit more risque. It's not to stop violence in video games. It's not to stop discussing large topics like schizophrenia, mental illness. It's not there to inhibit in any way what point they're trying to make with the larger piece in general. Shit, even God of War went through sensitivity reading and watching and playing several times through several iterations to make sure that they were not offending people from Greece and their Greek and Roman mythologies, and also Nordic people. They were trying very hard to make sure they didn't offend those people either, because there are stereotypes for those folks as well. But it doesn't inhibit the violence or anything unless the violence is a caricature of something that is hatefully motivated by an intersectional stereotype. For example, Ugly Betty, the TV show, would have done wonders with going through a sensitivity editor. And the reason why is because the villain for most of the show ended up being a trans woman. Spoilers. Who the fuck cares? That is a harmful stereotype in and of itself, having the villain be a trans woman, because we villainize trans women all the time in our media. And on the flip side of that, I mentioned God of War, but also Senua's Song is about a mental breakdown and schizophrenia in the face of massive violence. The violence continues in that video game. It is consistent and creepy and scary and freaking people out. Like, the experience of playing that video game puts people in the shoes of someone who is having auditory and visual hallucinations due to schizophrenia and due to a mental breakdown. And they were not told by their sensitivity readers or their sensitivity players not to have that topic. They were, however, told specific things would in fact encourage a negative stereotype towards that mental illness. Same goes with, Split. There's a movie called Split that is part of the trilogy of M. Night Shyamalan's Glass, and Split depicts someone with dissociative identity disorder terribly. It's marked upon by the community at large. And had they at all had someone come in with dissociative identity disorder or knew about it enough to know what a stereotype is, what it looks like and what it doesn't, they would have saved their asses if they'd have done that. When people come around and they say things like, man, I'd have really liked this if they'd have just done a little bit more research, that's what they mean. They mean that they needed a sensitivity reader or they needed a sensitivity viewer. I should just continue to call it sensitivity editing because that's what it is. Because a lot of times, again, I will reiterate this. Number one, a lot of times the authors want to include these intersections. And number two, the road to hell is paved with good intentions and they accidentally use stereotypes that are not correct. And that is all sensitivity editing is going in, looking and seeing where that harmful stereotype was used and where it could be replaced with something better. Go ahead and murder people with machetes as much as you want. Shit. You can even portray Nazism at its finest in World War II portrayals in video games, books, and movies. As long as you are portraying it correctly and you are portraying the victims correctly as well. And you aren't, say, casting everyone who is Jewish with a large nose. And that is just one example of many. Hopefully this clears things up. It's not part of some left-wing Marxist agenda because the companies, even the AAA companies that go out of their way to hire these editors, do so with the full intent in including this kind of material anyway. They are literally just making sure that their inclusiveness is not harmful. They do it for every single culture and intersection, including white folks. We went over God of War. And since 80% of media is now being put through sensitivity editing, even crap video games, even crappy books, it doesn't change the content. It just changes if they're doing something that fucks with people's intersections. So if the content was bad to begin with, it will continue to be a shit sandwich. But I mean, they had about 7 sensitivity editors for Baldur's Gate. And they've had them for, like I said, Senua's Song. They had it for God of War. They've done it for so many different forms of media. And it is so important that if you think about being a self-publisher, you use this tool. I would use this tool. And I understand more than most a lot of different stereotypes that are harmful, but I still would make sure that I wasn't doing something that would harm someone. There are so many forms of media that have social statements attached to them because that is what popular media is there for. It is a commentary and critique on the way the world is going. To not include people in that are part of that struggle, it does a disservice for the world around us. Just because you want to conserve the white straight model does not mean that the world will continue to do so around you. No matter how hard you want to scream about it, no matter how much you want to complain about it. Because I'm telling you right now, these authors do not care how butthurt you are. They care more about their audience and making sure that they are comfortable and safe enjoying their media. So anyway, I hope that helps. I wanted to say this before I continue into Fallout some more because it is vitally fucking important that people understand that it doesn't censor the harshness of the world when you use sensitivity editors. It simply makes sure that we are not including harmful stereotypes in those intersections. I hope everyone has a good day. I'm sorry this was almost 10 minutes. I love you guys. Bye.